Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And when you look too long into an abyss, the abyss also looks into you. Welcome back to the Fiction Game. I'm your host, as always, Jack. With me, Hayden, Tom, Sam, Miles. If you don't get how that intro was relevant to what we're talking about, go watch last week's episode. Merigold's in deep trouble. So, in the catacombs and dungeons under the grand hall and the throne of Tel Mary, in the shadow of Mount Deity, a mage is awoken by a voice inside of his mind. Wake up, mage. The guard will notice my mark. Merigold, you are jerked awake in your cell. The last thing you remember is scrying on that demon, being absolutely shaken by what you saw, a vision of the hells, your first sight of a world other than your own. In that moment of shock and confusion, the many eyes of the demon looked back at you and did something. Apparently, the demon is still not gone. You are jerked awake by this voice. Your cellmate across the way, one of the brothers of Ochre, a demon hunter, is sitting on his cot, arms folded, bear-like in posture, glaring down at you through the both sets of lattice work, the end of his cell and the end of your cell. He glares down at you wordless as a number of guards approach with torches. They look at the two of you, make sure you're like alive and breathing and haven't broken out yet, and inform you that it is sunrise. The only way you can know what time it is, except for your brief visits to the prison courtyard above the system, which you're given one every day at a different time every day. There's a rotating schedule. If they see anything different about you, they make no comment. And they continue on, and you hear them enter the next block of cells. Prisoners, it's sunrise. The next block of cells in the distance. Prisoners, it's sunrise. They continue their patrol. The brother of Ochre is still not taking his eyes off of you. Brows furrowed, looking disapprovingly at you. It seems clear that just like these past several days, he does not intend to engage you in conversation unless you engage him. And even then, maybe not. You might be the one doing all the talking. The voice in your mind hisses once again as the guards are out of earshot. It says, "So, how did you find me? What were you scrying for, mage?"
Well, you're the son of a bitch that's connected to our supposed friend Greyson.
Greyson? Greyson. Yes, Greyson. And, you don't like him? Why were you looking for me? You want an alliance, I see.
No. You got us in a lot of trouble. Greyson was being sneaky and telling people that he wasn't a warlock. And we are demon hunters, and now we're probably going to get executed because we can't pass the damn Banefinder test.
I don't know what's more surprising to me. Now, for a mage, you give a great deal of free information. So, but
secrets that could bind to a spell.
Yeah.
And especially the one about Greyson, yeah, he's outed. The minute I get in face to face with anyone, that secret's out.
Well, first of all, let me say I'm not sure which I find more surprising. That the hapless mage who scryed upon me without first encasing himself in a circle of salt is a demon hunter. Nice job on that one, bud. Or the fact that Greyson, that little worm, is a warlock now. What demon made a deal with him?
Excuse me?
What?
I look at my marble like,
Ruh-roh.
Shit.
something's wrong with my scrying spell. What do you know? Is Grayson? Grayson is absolutely bound to you. He is your warlock. This I know.
Bound? Bound to me? Is that what you scried for? A demon bound to Grayson? How new are you at this scrying game, mage?
This was my second try.
Allow me to explain. The scry spell has a mind of its own. It uses a portion of your mind as well, but it has to interpret the phrase that you give it. It's not great with abstractions, blame, ownership, connection, relationships. I suppose you could say that Grayson is bound to me in a certain way, but I am not his patron. If you wish to know what binds me and Grayson, you ought to ask him about a woman named Lanya.
Lanya business.
Okay,
I had such a good moment set up. You're not even in this scene.
Wait, so I'm gonna say, so if you're not bound, you're not Grayson's patron.
Her name was Lyra, by the way. Sorry.
Lyra, thank you. Okay, I spent 2 hours looking through it wasn't in any of the published stuff because you talked about your backstory that you had thought up after we stopped recording, and I was like, name. I know it's not Lydia. I know I just think it's Lydia because of Skyrim. It's not Lydia. Lyra, thank you very much. I should have remembered she shares a name with a character from I was gonna say Name of the Wind, but that's not true. That's Lirin. Anyways. Is that true? It's been a while. But I'm sorry. Merigold, what was your last dialogue line? What are you saying to this demon?
I was saying, well, if you're not Grayson's patron, who is? Can you give me a name?
How would I know? It sounds like your only proof that he's a warlock is that you looked for me. I barely know him.
Well, a Banefinder told us, and it's the one that I'm pretty sure was not tampered with.
Oh. I don't know anything about that. Anyways, I'm possessing you now. Here's the rules. Basically, I can sense through you. You're familiar with proxy spells. I assume you're a powerful mage. It's sort of like that. I can see through you. I can sense through you. I can even cast spells on those nearby you. And
Can I cast Compel Discretion on him real fast, like I did on the one that Hayden was connected to at one time?
He is not a nearby target. You don't sense him as a target for spellcasting.
That kind of... Okay. Well, in that case, I'm going to use my... I can't remember the name of it. Let me pull up the
Psychic
page.
Ward?
With the Duralumin.
All right.
The enhanced Duralumin with my Tiefstahl secret.
You load up so much power into this spell. It's like barrels full of magical gunpowder going off in your mind. That part of your mind that we've talked about that feels like a muscle that is flexed every time you cast a spell, that you were able to move Williams at one point. You were able to move your own. You were not able to move Vizier Commas. You feel that part of you undertake an immense load of stress and strain as you whip this powerful spell through your body, and the voice of the demon in your mind goes, "Ooh, nice trick. Do you want me to finish explaining to you what's going on, or do you want to keep throwing spells at it?"
I try it again.
You can't. You used exhaustive strength. That spell won't come back to you for 3 days. Exhaustive strength will come back in like an hour, though. So, the demon says, "Right. So I can tell that you're trying to eject me with defensive spells. So let me explain what's happening. I'm no longer an external force. You can't stop me from getting in. I'm in. There are ways of evicting me. I'm not going to tell you them, but they are different than the ways of stopping me from getting in the first place. Standing in a circle of salt isn't going to do you any good. Silver weaponry isn't going to do you any good. It's all and your psychic protections It's too late for them. I'm inside. Reinforcing the walls is great for me. Your awareness of secrecy lets you know, hey, this is a demon. Maybe he's not telling the truth about all these bullet points. He's really giving you the lay of the land, giving you a breakdown of how the magic system works. If he wants to stay possessing you, maybe he's not telling the truth about everything. Yeah, so you have that sense.
Can I ask compelling discretion with myself and see what that does?
You can if you want to.
Thing I've never tried before, but I will do it.
Yeah, you cast compelling discretion on yourself. This is not. So the impulse to do this, I think makes a lot of sense. In fact, it makes so much sense. I'm going to give you a luck point because I think it would be natural for Merigold to make this experiment because the last time you made a demon spill his guts, he was in Alberth's mind. This is a psychic effect that is very different. Alberth was not possessed by that demon. He was forced to share a symbiotic link because the demon had psychic abilities that could redirect a spell, and he redirected it towards himself. Much like a spell choke, they have like interrupt abilities, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, the demon does not seem compelled to do anything. However, Merigold experiences for the first time an effect which he has inflicted on countless strangers, enemies, and friends. What do you think Merigold starts loudly proclaiming during all of this?
He's been so focused on the demon thing that he's probably just talking about that to Chicken Bone, our friend. Just explaining the whole thing from the very start, everything that's happened, which I don't think he's done before. He was trying to get his help, but he didn't really explain the whole situation. And then he probably, once he runs out of that stuff, he'll... Okay, can I ask, is he going to be able to keep his wits about him enough to not spill his big secret about the nature of demons?
Oh.
Are you able to just completely stop your spell just outright? If it didn't work the first time, are you able to just like reclaim it, like recall it?
Unfortunately, it's not like a concentration effect. It's it is a one button press, and so it is already fired. I think that Merigold might have enough like things to say, especially Merigold being so accustomed to just saying everything all of the time. There is a good chance that the Merigold can control like the pathway of his thoughts and not think about the demon secret, but it's going to be a powerful exertion of will. Go ahead and make me a roll to see how well you keep it together.
Okay, tabletop. 19. He's going to steer the conversation to old paramours.
Right on. Yeah. Merigold immediately begins a huge kiss and tell laundry list. With just vivid descriptions of everything involved. And Chicken Bone is like clearly curious about what's going on, but also clearly untrusting. He's still against the cot in his cell. And after maybe 5 whole minutes of this, Merigold finally starts to wind down and can feel like the impulse to say more, but maybe for the first time is running out of train of thought faster than he can like come up with new things to say. And in those moments of silence where Merigold wants to say something but can't really think of anything to say, you feel like a roll of toothpaste that's almost out and is being rolled to express, like to press out all of its internal contents. It's a very unnerving feeling. And a part of the spell that Merigold might never have thought about before is what if you don't have anything to say but have to say something anyways? Does it come out as gibberish? Does it come out as repetition or like vague memories? It turns out it doesn't come out at all, and that's a very painful experience psychically. So, after all of this, masterfully avoiding saying the big secret because you kind of know how this spell works and you found a workaround for it, the demon goes, okay, right. Well, you're a talkative one, so I'm going to go ahead and give you my first gesh. You know what a gesh is, Mage?
Like I still have the spellcasting. I keep talking about like my favorite songs and ballads while I try to do a perception check on if I can feel the demon in my mind. What is he told of what he's told me so far? What's true? What's false? Like, what do I feel based on like my sense of secrecy and my intuition?
Yeah, you can try and roll a deduction check.
Got a nat one.
There's no way of knowing what he's told, if any of what he's told you is true. Yeah. All of this is information freely given. He hasn't like sworn any of it to be true. There might be a way to make a demon tell the truth. Because just like you had that encounter with the demon where he like swore not to hurt certain people if they swore things to him, there are ways to bind a demon to its word, even more so than other worlders. But that doesn't mean they're incapable of lying ever. You think it has to be phrased in the form of an oath or something. And so that's it. So it's unclear if any of this freely volunteered information is false. So, but yeah, the demon's last thing that he said to you was, it's time for my first gesh. Do you know what a gesh is, Mage? Go ahead and make me another roll to see if you've ever heard of a gesh before. It's kind of an old thing. A 10, because you're at the Universalists Academy, there is a chance that you've heard something about this. In the olden days, spells and like boons from Otherworlders worked a little bit differently, where they didn't tend to have long-standing contracts with mortals, where they were like one person who levels up and levels up and levels up. They had individual agreements almost on like a contract by contract basis, and an unbreakable contract between a mortal and an Otherworlder was called a gesh. Gesh etymologically descended eventually to become the word quest, as in, you do this for me and there is a reward at the end. That is why there are royal quests given out by the crown of Telmeri. That concept of a quest is descended from the ancient concept of a gesh, an agreement with a god, because humanity used to think that Otherworlders were gods. And not just humanity, I should specify. Dwarves thought that too, back when dwarves were alive. I'm going to use the term mortals as an umbrella term, because there used to be more of you. But yeah, that's what a gesh is. A human is never bound to their side of the gesh. An Otherworlder is always bound to their side of the gesh, and so it is always conditional on fit or like accomplishing a task, or sometimes there are negative geshes that are like, don't do this thing and you will receive this boon. Those are called taboos. So yeah, a gesh is an agreement that this thing can't break, that is conditional on you doing something or not doing something, in exchange for which you will receive something good or not receive a bad consequence. In particular,
I'm gonna say, well, maybe in a minute. I know that that's the plot and like that's exposition. We'll get there. I want to go into some of the optional dialogue lines for a minute. Is there any way that you could find out what demon is bound to Greyson?
I don't like you, but there's no one else in the room that doesn't already know. Wait, what?
I said I don't much care for you either, Tentacles. I'm just trying to get some information here.
Tentacles.
Okay, you're a mage, so let me break this down in a way that you'll understand. I'm not going to give you that information for free. In fact, I've already expressed that I don't have that information, so wild to even ask. We can make an agreement, a separate gesh, which will allow us to exchange information, and you will know that I'm telling the truth even though I'm a demon. Because if I just tell you anything, it's kind of up in the air whether it's true or not. You know, because I'm a demon. So shut up, and I'm going to give you this first gesh.
Are there any potential consequences for you for helping me? Because my understanding is there is a demon posse specifically hunting me at present moment. Would that get you in trouble with your buddies for being here?
A demon posse?
Yeah.
Why? Now,
Oh, well,
Merigold.
see, I don't just give you that information for free. Wild to even ask. I'm just asking if maybe this could be dangerous for you, being in my head here. Not a particularly safe head in general, I would say. But you know.
This is excellent. This is excellent. You've no idea the predicament you're in. You've just given me something that I very much want to know. So,
You know, you're good. Stop talking.
First guess, Merigold. Oh, I'm sorry. It hasn't called you Merigold at all. It keeps calling you Mage. First guess, Mage. You will not say, hint at, or disseminate the knowledge that you are a subject of demonic possession. If you do so, I will pull apart your mind spell by spell and memory by memory until you are left a babbling wanderer, devoid of ability or identity. Do you understand?
I think so. Doesn't sound too different from my everyday, but
Okay.
that's fine.
The demon is not amused by your jokes. Second guess. There are 3 marks sealing me to you. If all of the marks are released, then you will no longer be possessed by me. If you tell me why this demon posse has gathered and is hunting you, I will release the first of the 3 marks.
Maybe later. I'll, stew on that one for a sec. It's good to know you can't just read my mind outright, though. That's helpful.
All right. Fine. You understand the 2 guesses placed upon you. If you tell anyone or communicate to anyone in any way that you are the subject of demonic possession, I'll pluck apart your mind. And if you tell me what has caused demons to join together, then I will release one of 3 marks upon your mind. Those are my only 2 guesses for now. Call me if you need me. You don't feel anything change, but the voice does stop talking to you. You're not sure if it has left and will come back. You're not sure if its attention has to be focused on you to understand anything, but that appears to be all it wants for now.
I'm gonna call him back real fast. Hey, not so fast. Tentaculo, I do have another request. Any way you can get me out of this cell? Because now that you're in here, I don't suppose the next Banefinder test is going to go particularly great.
Indeed.
And that's no good for either of us, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I don't think it would be too bad for me. But let's see here. Yes. Yes, I believe I have ways of getting you out. What do you offer in exchange?
I'll be your best friend.
Well, that's a deal you can't refuse.
You're a talkative
I get
one.
the feeling demons aren't too sociable, but maybe you could use a friend. That I'd offer. What do you want?
The demon doesn't say anything to
I'll give you a minor secret. Is that helpful to you? I know you're not a mage, but that's kind of what I have of value.
A minor secret in exchange for breaking you out of prison?
Yeah. Tit for tat. Little thing for little thing.
If I consider the secret significant enough, I will break you out of this prison. You have my word. What is the secret?
I have to go back to my studies. I could try any of these, but I have the feeling that Merigold would want to toe the line with the whole demon secret thing. His whole thing is that he doesn't like being bored and he just wants stuff to happen. So he just makes things happen. I'm gonna tell him the angelic secret that I know about, which isn't really a secret, but I'll say like I know angels don't actually care about being good; they just care about being perceived as good. Um, Sometimes that's the same thing, but it's important. I think the intention behind it. Um, Someone disagreed with this. Some guy named, and I'm gonna drop the name. What was it? Who was the guy?
Oh,
Sorry, I have to find
you
it.
didn't catch the name of the. So you're referring to the Orison hypothesis and the
Yeah,
mage who
there was
rejected
some
that
dude
theory.
who didn't agree with that a while ago, but that's the
Oh,
generally accepted theory.
oh, you have historical records that you want to tell me about. That's the secret, is books that were written and are publicly published to the public.
Well, there's lots of secrets hidden in books, tentacles.
I'm going to make you a new guess.
Okay.
I'd like to remind you, it doesn't matter if you agree to these agreements. I'm bound to them. You couldn't be either way.
Yeah.
If you
Better.
bring my attention to you again, for what I consider is a trivial reason, I will break both of your legs. That is my guess to you. Stop talking.
He can only
to
punish you once.
At this, the voice leaves.
Tentacles come back.
Oh, Mage, what do you want?
Thought of a better secret that I could tell you.
Excellent. I will be entertained by the end of this conversation no matter what.
For the second time in 24 hours, I will detailedly, in great detail, describe how to forge teach doll. My second greatest secret.
Now, this is material information about the physical world. It would be of great interest to other mages. This demon knows that it is of great interest to you. The demon has no use for Tiefstahl. However, something about that does seem important enough for this demon to have listened to you. And he says, "What? Well, I must admit, I won't break your legs for this one. You should have negotiated something I was going to give you in exchange for that secret. Real dumbass move on your part. Goodbye again."
That you were breaking out of prison. That was our deal. I thought. That was your wording.
You ought to learn to make more explicit deals with my kind. Goodbye again.
Okay.
Meanwhile, later that morning, you're all awoken in a similar fashion, but later that morning, there are the footsteps of not the typical 2 or 3 guard patrol, the footsteps of one person coming down the hall towards Alberth, Greyson, and their cellmate Nell. This one person shows up in a rather nice like suit jacket. It looks around, is clearly like looking for guards or like looking like they might be in trouble. And this person walks up to Greyson's like lattice work and says, "Hey," and ting ting ting, like taps on the glass with a finger. Are you Alberth?
Yeah, what's up?
Here, I have some plans to go over for your workshop and some papers I need for you to sign. And he gestures you closer to the lattice work.
All right, I'm gonna go over.
Sweet. When you go over, let me just take a look at you and Alberth might be able to determine something about this stranger who you've just convinced you are Alberth. So each of you roll a perception check with a d20.
All of us, or just the ones in the room?
Just the ones in the room.
Gotcha.
This one.
3.
Oh, great.
All right. A 3 and a 10, it looks like. Let me just look through your spell books. Okay. Greyson has no particular way to determine this. Alberth would be able to know because of his awareness of instinct. But alas, neither of you recognize before Greyson pulls up to the metal lattice this man's murderous intent. In a flash, he draws out from his jacket a crossbow. Not a gun, not a true gun, but one of these knockoff brands that's been attempting to disrupt the market and take take the market away from Alberth by duplicating his creation. This one in particular, rather than just being a simple bar, it's like an X. Like they needed extra stabilization for the drawback method. It's clearly an inferior product, but he brings it to the metal lattice work and fires at Greyson's abdomen. Roll to dodge.
Okay.
Shoot.
I'm gonna regret this lie.
11 is good enough for you to move, but not fully out of the way. You dart to the side and it goes through your side and the bolt emerges out your back. You are not centrally gut shot, but you are still gut shot. As this person looks around, notices that there are no more guards coming, and begins to reload another bolt into it, still standing at the lattice work next to Greyson's cell.
All right.
Yeah, what do you guys do? That's the question. What was your question, Hayden?
I want to Hearthlight Aura and then give Greyson ectasis if he wants it.
So Hearthlight
Gonna
Aura,
ask for something.
yeah, Alberth lights up like a light bulb, and using your servitor lend power ability, shoot your druidic power of ectasis over to Greyson, who is within range of that. Greyson, you now have this new druidic power whose use you understand very intuitively because of the nature of druidic magic. Ectasis, you can force something to shed its outer layer. When you've seen Alberth use this on people with armor, the armor has come off. When you've seen him use it on you probably haven't heard about the demon, actually, that he used ectasis on, and that was a very powerful use of it. You've also seen him use it on Merigold, and it just took all of his clothes off. So you're not sure how combat useful this is, because this guy isn't in armor or anything. He's in very, nice, rich-looking clothes, but nothing, defensive or anything.
Okay. How close is he to the bars before I just do anything?
Right up next to him, yeah.
So I could stab him with the dagger I stole from whatever, comma.
Actually, let's see. I was gonna say, if you had a shiv, it's not like he's standing with his gut pressed to the lattice work, but he was standing at point blank range to try and maximize it, and that dagger is probably like an assassin's dagger. It's probably long enough to get to him if you act really quickly, because he does not expect you to have a weapon in this jail cell.
All right, I'm gonna do that.
Does this spell have a cooldown?
Ectasis?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Actually, before I stab him, I think ectasis is probably a good call. I'll use ectasis.
Sweet. Yeah, you cast the wild boon ectasis on this man, and very similarly to what happened with Merigold, his clothes rip off. Now, the buttoned jacket that's on the outside is a simple enough matter. It pops at the buttons and a couple of seams and flies off of his shoulders, but the shirt underneath only buttons at the top, like a Henley or like this polo. It doesn't button all the way down, so it begins to peel itself off the top, jerking his arms up and throwing. This does a couple of things. First of all, unfortunately, he stumbles back from the lattice work too far to be stabbed, but the crossbow, the knockoff gun, is thrown into the air as his arms are jerked up, slaps into the ceiling, and clatters to the ground, still unloaded. And you hear shouts in the distance as guards hear what's happening and start to mobilize.
I'm gonna go stash all of the things that I stole, like on the bed in the corner or something, and then wait for the guards, I guess.
Yeah. As you hunker next to your cot, this dude stumbles backwards, trips over his own pants down around his ankles, and falls directly onto this crossbow, cracking it. And he looks around, stands up, pulls up his pants, and just starts running as he's putting on his clothes, like a like an adulterer in a sitcom. Yeah, he
Guards, this man just exposed himself to us.
he hightails it out of there. The guards run in and analyze the wreckage of a small weapon on the ground. And looking up, they see a couple of things. First of all, looking around, they do see that Greyson is gut shot apparently by this weapon. And then looking around, they all look confused as to like what sort of mechanism this is, except for one guard. A guard by the name of Kel, who Alberth had a couple of light conversations with, Alberth being Alberth, just being talkative with the guards guarding his jail cell, and he looks at Alberth and looks almost wounded, and he looks down at the thing in his hands and looks up at you accusingly. And then he thinks about it for a second, like, I don't think he smuggled in his own signature weapon and then waited 4 days to shoot another prisoner. And seems to double think his like blaming you, and then just like shakes his head and walks over to you and says, Alberth, did you see what happened? He's looking at the wreckage of this thing in his hands.
I'm gonna listen. I'm not proud of what just happened. Somebody came in here looking for me, and I let Greyson over there take the fall. To be honest, I thought it was going to be like somebody sneaking in to try and do business with me. Turns out, competition trying to kill me with a cheap knockoff of my own beautiful invention. I never would have made the cross. That's so dumb. It broke as soon as he sat on it. Idiot.
That's brittle wood, and the crossbar probably isn't even made of a young sapling. The guy knows nothing. It's like he's never even strung a bow before. This guy nods and he looks down the hallway and he says, I thought I saw the craziest thing as he was running out of here. It looked like he also took his pants down.
He took off his pants.
Yeah, that's his jacket still in the corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
He took off all of his clothes and then he shot Greyson?
The weird thing? Other way around.
Oh my.
Shot him and then got excited. Madman. I'm glad you guys came when you did.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Does one of you wanna help me?
Yeah, no, this guy is talking to Alberth, but in the meantime, the other two guards have rushed off and they are bringing back a healer, who gestures for you to come closer to the lattice work if you can. Yeah, and
Yeah.
It's a tall, slender man. He looks you up and down, and he seems to be like triaging for a second, like, how bad is this? And eventually just throws caution to the wind. Like, it's more important that you don't die while you're in holding and being investigated than if you try to break out. And he opens the door and rushes in to help you. This presents an opportunity for Greyson. You're wounded, but you're not immobile. The two guards ran off. The one is distracted by Alberth, and the healer is with you right now. It would be a pretty easy matter to subdue this healer and the guard talking to Alberth and make a run for it. There might also be a way for you to mess with the spring-loaded mechanism that allows the door to be opened, so that once they close it, it won't fully close, and even if they lock it, you'll still be able to open it. Those are the two ideas that spring to Greyson's mind immediately. But you'd still have to distract or subdue the healer in some way to be able to, like, even just mess with the gate.
I think Greyson, well, not a fan of prison, is probably more concerned with the gunshot in his side. So he'll let the healer come in, and then just like as the healer's doing the work, he's gonna pickpocket, see what he can find.
Right on. That's great. I'm actually gonna roll for how good a job the healer does. Experienced chirurgeon. Yeah, he sews you up right good. Gets the bolt out. But does look at it and smells the tip, and furrows his brow a little bit. He puts a hand to your forehead, but then seems to think better of it. Like, no, you wouldn't already have a fever. That would be too fast. He nods and starts to bandage all this up wordlessly. And once one of the other guards is back, he snaps for his attention and gives him a small list of like additional supplies that he'll need. And the guard runs back out to gather them. Do either of you have alchemical experience? I think we determined no the last time that there was a bunch of, because you still have, I think, smuggled a bunch of Vizier commas, just like odds and ends, in your pillowcases. Yeah, you don't recognize the names of most of the things he says. One of the things he calls for is a tea made of rosehip oil. That's a simple pain reliever and analgesic. It is in real life as well. And that's the only thing on the list that you really recognize. And soon they do come back with something topical to put on it, like a poultice, and that tea which they have you sip. Go ahead and make a roll for while all these people are gone running for alchemical ingredients, and while the healer is very busy like sewing up your side. What you can grab from his little healer's bag that is at the side. I would say, yeah, masterful pickpocket that Greyson is. I think Greyson manages to pocket a few things that that fit a couple of criteria. They are not just pocket sized, but you could hide them behind a palm or a finger. If like they were to like look at you and you didn't have time to like pocket something. You're only stealing things of which there are multiple, so that if they're missing any, it looks like a bad count, not like something was definitely stolen. And you're stealing the things closest to the top of the pouch, because they're gonna stack the most useful stuff. You pocket a couple of vials of liquids and powders that you don't recognize to match the other vials of liquids and powders that you don't recognize from Vizier Comma. You manage to package also 2 needles and lengths of thread. And finally you pocket like a strip of basically gauze that is wrapped around a small vial that you do recognize as being strong alcohol for cleaning a wound before you wrap it. So you have a number of medical supplies, including thread and gut, that are particularly useful for that. You manage to like roll them across your bed and sufficiently under your pillow to avoid like detection as he sews you up. And then, as a standard procedure, he calls the guards back in, who pat you down, being very gentle around the actual like wounds that you've gotten, determine that you have stolen nothing, you've threatened no one. They close the gate behind them as they leave. Yeah. So yeah, you've secured this little pool of medical resources. Looking across the way, you're pretty sure that Nell spotted you hiding these things, but she hasn't said anything, but she gives you a knowing look. After the guards and the healers have all gone away, Nell walks slowly to the edge of her like cell and taps on the metal, says, hey you. She's clearly talking to Greyson.
Me?
Yeah. You cast a spell on him. What did you do?
What?
That man who was here earlier. You cast a spell on
Yeah.
him.
I didn't.
Now listen. And she turns to Alberth as she says this as well. She says, I haven't spoken to either of you since you showed up here, and I think I have good reason for doing that. They lined your cells with salt. Now that means either you're a warlock, or worse, you're in the direct control of a demon. You wouldn't be the first person who'd entered these walls even, who I saw in the direct control of a demon. And so, I haven't talked to either of you. I think that so far that seemed like a pretty good decision. But if you cast a spell, and that your cell wasn't prepared for, then they don't know what kind of spellcaster you are. And that means they might just be lining your cells with salt as a precaution. So, are either of you warlocks?
Nope.
Okay. I guess that's all. I don't really have anything to add to the conversation. That's just kind of why I haven't been talking to you. It's nice to meet you both. My name's Nell. I don't like demons very much. I think that's a very reasonable opinion of mine. Of all my opinions, I'd say that's one of the most grounded, one of the most rooted in scientific bedrock.
Congratulations.
Fair enough.
Who else have you seen that's under control of a demon that has come in here?
That's come in here. Just a chap didn't gather his name, but out there in the world, I don't really want to talk about it. Just bad people, bad demon people. I don't like it very much.
Wow.
Do you run in
I'm
demon circles?
I'm shocked you
No,
run
I
into
run out
multiple.
of demon circles.
I
No,
can't believe we've spent this whole time without your charming personality.
Yeah, I'm a laugh riot. Anyways,
Alberth
yeah.
is too nice to not just enjoy hanging out with, right?
True. Don't mind that. Get out. So, yeah, you guys have unlocked friendly acquaintanceship with Nell. Moving on, there is, let's see. Meanwhile, in the cell in the cell block rather, with William, Elway, Yasica, and Lion. Elway and William have been making plans for what it might take to take down the like blood magic as a practice in all 6 kingdoms, and what some alternatives might be to like harm that you agreed was probably best off limits, or that she insisted was probably best off limits, and that you at least ceded was probably not great.
Reasonable, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I understand why most people would agree with that, but also.
So yeah, she's brainstorming like ways that you could help people, and ways that you could gather sanguine mana in like a conscientious way. Yasica has been very quiet for these last couple days. She'll still talk if spoken to, but for the most part she seems contemplative and determined. She's kind of always got that brow furrowed expression that you see in like action movies when an action hero is trapped in jail, where they're like thinking about every step of the process and planning their escape, or like doing push-ups all the time. That's Yasica's vibe in here. Very, very cold, hard edge kind of approach. Lion just looks exasperated, basically like she did on the outside, but more flowery. As it's been a couple days since like she was in her armor, the hair that she had pulled back, the flower petals that she has in place of hair that were like down like this, they've started to like pull more and more outwards, and the ones directly around her face are like, they look like a budding like sunflower almost. It's not quite a sunflower like petal, but it's something close to that. It's something yellow and bright, and it's very funny to see her sulk with just like a corona of flowers growing around her face. It's starting to match your broken halo, actually.
Nice.
It's a very similar golden color, and so you guys both kitty corner to each other at this at in this cell block are at like a weird parallel here. But eventually Lion does actually stand up and come close to like the corner that's closest to the middle. Which it looks like she wants to talk, and so you and Elway and Yasuka like notice this, and kind of you all gather, and Lion is quiet for a long time, and eventually she says, right, so you all may have noticed that I'm not particularly forthcoming about personal details. I think I have good reason to be. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing. I think that
said it was.
I think that this party is sometimes worth keeping secrets from. But if I'm being honest with myself, the people in this room, at least, deserve to know maybe a little more about me. And it seems as good a time as any to address that, because, well, the people I like the least in this party aren't in this room. So, if y'all have any questions, I suppose I can answer them. I'm sure you have a great deal. Except for Yasuka, because I've known her for years, but mostly you two, and she gestures to you and Elway.
So, what's going on with your hair?
Right, so I don't have hair. I have petals. I'm sure you've noticed.
Yeah, I apologize. What's up with the petals? I don't want to be like insensitive. With the whole hair,
yeah,
you know?
I understand. Of all the questions I've been asked about why is my hair petals, I think why is my hair petals is probably the nicest, and the least invasive, and the least curious about stuff that isn't your business. So I appreciate you asking one of the most reasonable questions anyone's ever asked me about my hair. That's not hair, it's petals. So my mother was a Leshy. You may know, you may have heard, you have a friend who's a druid. I probably shouldn't hold it against him. A Leshy is, there's three kinds of life. You've heard of like plants and animals being different forms of life. And if you've really gotten into it, you might have heard of a third group called Mycia. And if you got further into it than that, that's the one. I didn't realize you were a learned man, but I knew you were well traveled. But yes, three fields of life. It's most people think of mushrooms as just other plants, but apparently they're different enough on a small scale. I don't know. I've never seen a scope that goes that small. I'm not a scholar, but three kinds of life, right? Plant, animal, and fungus. There are more technical terms. I think flora is one of them. I don't really keep track. Anyway, a Leshy is a guardian spirit of it's a special type of life that was created by the wild folk, the people of the Boggenmire, who are the patrons of druids, who give druids their powers. And these Leshies are spirits. Some would say monster, because monster is kind of a hard to define term, but it's often used as an umbrella for things that exist in the mortal world that were created by otherworlders but aren't native to the other worlds. They were created for this world. I'm getting into the taxonomy of it all. It's kind of my instinct is to draw attention away from the deeply personal nature of what I'm telling you by making it very scientific, analytical, and explanation focused. And I'm going to try to fight that impulse consciously. My mother was a Leshy. Leshy are between the three fields of life, so they're part animal, part plant, part fungus, and humans being animals. As a result, a small portion of Leshies, their animal part is human, and a small portion of those, they are primarily creature, primarily fauna, and then secondarily flora or Mycia, and tertiarily the other one. So it's always one of them is always stronger than the other two, and if it's a creature, then they will look more like a creature with plant characteristics than a plant with creature characteristics, and finally some of those are humans. So I'm just cutting it off at the pass. How did your dad, who is presumably a human, do a plant person? That's how. There are plant people, and there are people plants. They're more people than they are plants, and they have the bits, and the bits were used. And so I'm alive now, and I'm half leshy. Daffodil, or dandelion, sorry. Particularly. There are like 3 flowers that people call dandelions. There's like the wispy ones with the seeds that you blow off of it, and then there's the yellow ones. They're all weeds, so it's not a particularly proud heritage of mine. But but yeah, I'm half weed person. So that answers most of the questions that people have.
Not only was that informative, that was very beautiful for sharing that with me. Thank you.
She looks at you very flatly and says, "Thanks. You know, the word beautiful is pretty loaded. I don't always like it when people say it, but it feels like you meant that genuinely, and not in a way that reduces me to an interesting flower person who you think about as appearance only. That would be a ridiculous way to think of me. You've seen me in combat. It would be ridiculous to think of me as a flower girl who also has a sword. I'm a sword person who also happens to be part flower, and you get that."
And what a person you are.
All right, it's starting to feel less genuine, but I do appreciate it, William. Thank you.
So, first, are you just like a warrior, just in general? Do you attribute any like magic to what you do?
Nope. Just a lot of inconvenience finding well-fitted clothing. I might be a little taller than the average, than the average woman, because I am indeed several other things. But I'm about the same height as Yasuka. I don't think she has any otherworldly heritage, any monster heritage. What you got going on over there, Yasuka? Yasuka says, "Just tall." Right, just tall. So, I don't think that I'm magically strong or anything. It takes my petals a long time to grow if they get cut. I feel like longer than hair. But, I think that's about it.
Shorter than plants? Like plants, like dandelions in general to grow?
Oh, do I guess I haven't really grown any dandelions to compare to. I think so.
Cool. So in that case, is there any reason that you like chose the specific occupation?
Just good at it. Just angry enough for it, I think. Genetic trait. Not to flower people, to my dad. He was just kind of an angry bastard.
I'm gonna look over at Yasuka's the one next to me, right?
You are kitty cornered, so it's Elway on your right, Yasuka to your left.
Oh,
Here
Elway. It was Elway.
Yeah.
Me and Elway have been talking for like literal days at this point on expressing yourself in a healthy manner, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna like look over at her like, yo, she just said she picked her job because she's angry. Like giving her like that kind of like those eyes, you know what I'm saying?
Ellie goes, "Why are you giving me let's judge someone together eyes?" I think
no
that's kind
eyes
of bad.
of let's come together and I don't know. I guess I don't think the whole world has to be filled with so much hate and pain.
Oh, I see. Because I asked you to stop mutilating yourself. You want me to fix her next. Sorry, that was mean. It's my instinct to be sardonic and flippant, especially when people ask me to do things that I'm unclear why they think it's my job to ask. I shouldn't have reacted poorly to you.
That was extremely blunt, and I kind of appreciate it.
Oh, that's nice. Do you not know a lot of blunt people? I feel like sometimes, and then Elway goes into this thing, and you guys just kind of be a healing circle together. You all just talk about the problems of like when people are mean or assume things about you because you're different. You and Lion have a lot to say about that, and Elway and Yasuka have a lot to say about like society's assumptions about like groups that they perceive as being different from the hegemonic norm. And it's just like, you guys talk about like trauma and like ways to deal with it and why people are the way they are and that kind of thing.
Wait. I'm just realizing something. First
Uh-huh.
off, this cell is lined with anti-blood magic, right?
It is.
But I can still gather sanguine mana?
Oh, you can. And as a matter of fact, I'm glad you asked that. That's a good springboard into, as you guys talk about like what's wrong and what could be better, you realize you've complimented people and not gotten sanguine mana before. You've helped people and not gotten sanguine mana before. But as you guys talk about like what I'm going to call, even though it's probably not a term that you would use in the era, as you guys talk about like mental health and recovering from like emotional trauma and that kind of thing, you realize that you start to regain some sanguine mana. You're not sure why this counts as pleasure as defined by blood magic, because usually that has to physically affect someone in some way. So like complimenting, no. Feeding, yes. Doing an errand for, no. Massaging, yes. Like it has to be very physically, well, like it has to have physical results. But as you're discussing this, you realize you gain not a small amount of sanguine mana having these discussions.
This whole blood magic business is very slowly confusing me the longer I use it. So can I try and I want to try and cast a spell, just like a small amount of sanguine mana, just to see if I can touch somebody on perhaps like not inside my cell. So like I can heal people. Do I have to be physically touching them in order to heal them?
My goodness, I have to look up. No, you do not.
Can I try and if I can see any like wounds, I'll even like ask, hey, do you guys have anything I can try? I'm just trying to stretch my bounds here. See if I can understand my abilities the best. Do any of you happen to have a small wound I'd be able to try and heal from here?
They all kind of look around at each other, and Yasuka says, unless scars count, I think the only person who makes a habit of having open wounds is you. Again, I don't mean to be super confrontational.
Genuinely fair.
Yeah,
genuinely. That's a fair line of discussion.
I mean, it's worth asking, but no, I haven't opened any wounds in the last 4 days of being largely stationary, so I'm good.
All right. Then
Are you guys hearing construction sounds through my mic? Just out of curiosity. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's coming through on the recording. Yeah, that's fine. Just a hammer. What are you gonna do?
So I have a plan. I've discussed with was it Elway I was talking to? I can't remember exactly who I'm speaking to.
Right now you're speaking to all of them. Elway, Yasuka, Lion.
Yeah.
But
who have I been talking to about specifically ending blood magic?
Elway.
So, as far as I understand it, our magic is granted to us through the bond from another worlder.
Yes.
Now, that's, I think, all sects of magic are currently being accessed through bonds from other worlders. To specifically end blood magic, I really only see 2 ways that can happen. Technically 3, but one I don't want to consider. Closing the door so that nobody can physically access a bond, as the bond is the doorway from otherworlder to human, thus power. Stopping that entirely would just completely destroy the idea of magic as a concept. But if we could close it specifically for blood magic, that'd probably be the one I'd go for. Or just getting rid of all of the otherworlders. And I'm not necessarily attuned to genocide.
Not this character.
He says,
not-
and then
not this
pauses.
timeline.
Yeah.
I want to. What do they? How do they look upon like hearing these ideas of either completely getting rid of the bonds that bind? Who is it like? I don't know what my people are called.
The Razorkin.
Razorkin, yeah. So I don't know if that's a possibility to completely eliminate the bonds between humans and Razorkin is more likely than all of the Razorkin collectively not making deals or dying. I don't think that's going to be nearly as easy.
Yeah, do you bring this up in the group, by the way, in this little sitting circle?
I'm assuming they've all at least overheard over the last few days the discussion. So barring that they are all at least up to speed, I'm okay with it being a group discussion.
Right on. Yasuka thinks about this. Says, yeah, well, let's see. Well, if you... Wraithel and the Kuningdom are both worlds that were created, right? They weren't originally connected to this world. Whatever's created, it makes sense, could be destroyed or maybe replaced. So maybe the ultimate solution to the blood magic problem would be creating a world to replace the Ma's place on the axis of instinct.
Yeah, I guess that's probably something we could at least think on. I don't necessarily know if that's shutting a door and moving like the entrance or exit location of the door. I don't know. I'm not sure which one would require more energy, I suppose.
I mean, it's not a door. I understand that that's a metaphor you're using, but that's
yeah, not how it actually works. I understand.
Yeah, and I don't know if it comes down to quantity of energy. I don't think it. Well, what do I know? In fact, what do any of us know? We need to take this to the Universalist Academy if we're going to learn anything. And Line says, and probably the Ascended, the mages of the Kuningdom themselves, right? If they know how to create a world, they're the people we should talk to about what it takes to sever a connection to a world, to replace that world.
Wait, did they? Sorry, I missed that part. Did they make a world?
Yeah. The mage world and the sorcerer world were both created. The sorcerer world, Wraithel, was created 1,000 years ago, and the Kuningdom, the world of the Ascended, who give mages their powers, that was created 2,000 years ago, and they were created by people.
Damn. Making worlds is, if that's a possibility, there's a lot of implications on what that means, but we'll have to think about it further. What do we got to do to get out of this prison? They said only a couple of days. It's been like probably a week now.
It's been about 5 days. Yeah.
Is there anything we can do to speed this up? Clear at least a couple of us so we can, not be in prison?
Yeah, Yasuka furrows her brow. She says, as much as a prison break is antithetical to my approach to life, it does feel like Baron Tiefelein has been planning something. In particular, he's so obviously framing us, but then having not framed us. I'm not crazy for having accused him, right? That solar accusation is what had me passed out and not there for most of our trial. But you guys thought he did it too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I had to get that off my chest, because if I was the only one thinking that, then I did a real whoopsie. You know what I mean? That's a mea culpa.
Mayor Koopa?
I have to make sure you're asking that because your character doesn't know mea culpa, because that's like not an English phrase and you're not sure how that translates, right? You're not Miles asking what mea culpa means?
Correct.
Okay, sweet.
I like Mayor Koopa better.
Mayor
Yeah,
Koopa. That was my
it's Bowser,
favorite.
but worse.
That was my favorite
Yeah.
level of Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, was talking to Mayor Koopa and fighting the dragon, and yeah. Actually a great game. Doesn't matter. Anyways. We yeah. Right. You're talking about whether it's time to break out of jail. Line says, I agree. I know that the king was going to pursue a fair trial and whatever. I suppose you all know him better than I do, but I'm not so confident about it. And if there was good news, it feels like we would have heard about it by now. You know what I mean? Or at least we would have heard something by now. I'm not sure
Yeah, but
how
it can't
many
be bad
days
news
you
for
wait.
literally all of us.
I actually have a quick interjection.
Mm.
Marigold has come to the same conclusion, and as soon as that Duralumin spell recharges, I'm going to try the Force Lance with that on the bars of my jail cell.
All right. Go ahead and make a roll for this. To control this spell. You haven't used Force Lance very much, but you're a very practiced mage.
14.
A 14 is pretty good. Yeah. I'm actually going to say, right after William, you pose this question and you guys start talking about it, in the distance, echoing through these catacombs, you hear an abysmal screech of metal against metal, and cracking stone that sounds like just an explosion at like an iron mine. It's it's a
like kind of at the intersection, if I can. Is there a way that I can let Chicken Bone out through the same hole, or is there no way to do that?
I think actually there's an excellent chance that you let this lets Chicken Bone out as well. In fact, your problem isn't like, can this do enough to make me and Chicken Bone both escape? It's actually, you now have to make what I'm just going to call a constitution roll, because you are like pelted with metal shrapnel as it scatters and ricochets across the room.
That track, yeah. 8.
An 8. So you are hit with enough shrapnel to the...
Before I do it, though? Or after I do it, like, as part of the Constitution check?
Yeah. It's... I'm gonna say yes, because you actually had the kinetic ward active the previous night when the strange hooded figure approached you. You had activated the kinetic ward. So it makes sense that after you exhausted your psychic ward, it would just go back to kinetic ward. So I'm going to say, yeah, that kinetic ward stops a lot of the damage.
You can throw it onto Chicken Bone as well, so he's also protected.
Oh.
Can you just throw that? Is that a thing?
It's one of my spells is the 2-pronged adjustment, if I remember.
Yeah, I think
that's sick.
I think it's so I was going to say you probably can't do that after the fact, like declare the shield, but I actually think it's likely that Merigold is a mage. He has all these new spells. It's reasonable to assume that he's seen the effects of every spell and tried them all with exhaustive strength to see what happens. I think it's reasonable to assume that Merigold expected a little bit of the absolute iron storm that was going to happen when he used Force Lance. And so I think it is reasonable for you to have used Enhanced Spell 2-pronged to protect both yourself and Chicken Bone with the kinetic ward, and then to use Enhanced Spell Exhaustive Strength on the Force Lance to tear a cylinder of iron and stone from its foundations.
See, because that's good, because Sam was expecting and the bars my bed.
Yeah.
That would not have been as good.
Yeah. This place detonates, and you and Chicken Bone are both surprisingly unscathed. Maybe some light cuts, but for the most part, it's like you were in the eye of the iron storm that you created. And Chicken Bone looks down. Who again? His name is not Chicken Bone. He looks down at himself and looks up at you, and looks down at the area around his cell from which flagstones have been torn up, and he reaches down, takes a fistful of something, throws it to the side, breaking the barrier that's stopping him from casting spells, and he holds up a chicken bone and then begins moving so fast that he's standing next to you in the blink of an eye, tucks a chicken bone into the pocket of your shirt, at which point, when it enters your possession, you are moving incredibly quickly. Time is slowed down to like 1/4 its original rate, and Chicken Bone says, and let me just get his name right, because it's about time he introduces himself to you instead of being Chicken Bone. Oh my goodness, please, it was on a piece of graph paper. I really got to get more organized references here. 8, 7. Damn, really? 9, 8. Jan Oker. Jan introduces himself. He sticks out a hand as you guys are both very sped up and says, Jan Oker, pleased to meet you.
Jan Mulka?
Jan Oker. Ochre. Oker, like the color.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm Merigold.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you. Let's go. And
Best. They're just a couple cell blocks down, as far as I know.
Right. And the like gestures like which direction? Where are we?
I do know based on where Kama went the other night, right?
Yes, yeah. You know the direction, and you start to run down. It's not so much a grid as it is like looping hallways that slide back and forth, which is terrible news for getting out, but great news for running into your friends while you're on your way out. You do come to Alberth and Greyson soon, and actually a pair of guards that are running past in bizarrely slow motion and seem to like notice your guys' blurs several seconds after you show up and like back up and start to really slowly draw swords.
Yeah, that we can pickpocket by any chance?
Absolutely, yeah. They have coinery, they have spare torches. They've got yeah.
Is his spells refreshing at an accelerated rate?
Yes, at his pace instead of the world's pace, which does mean 4 times faster, but it's not going to bring back either of the exhaustive strength spells. So Force Lance isn't coming back anytime soon, and shoot, what was the Psychic Ward isn't coming back anytime soon.
That's all right. Do we see like, can we get to our friends' cells by any chance? I guess we were trying to get the key. Duh.
Yes, yeah. And curiously, neither of these guards has a key. They must have been here for some other reason. They're not they're not the key keepers, but yeah, they are slowly drawing their swords. Jan points a finger at them like, do we knock him out? He says, it seems like it's your plan at this point. What?
How long do the bones last?
Oh, boy, it depends on how good a job I did. Sorcery is, it's hard to define. Basically, it has to do with how artfully I whittled them. So anywhere from, it could end any minute or it could last another hour, our time. I think they turned out pretty well. I'm not a great judge of my own work. I don't think any artist is.
We don't really need to talk about it. I'm just gonna, how long, okay.
I guess 15 minutes.
How long does my compel and discretion take to refresh?
Oh, no, not very long at all. A couple seconds, actually.
Both of these guards with the compel and discretion, and then we can just run away and leave that chaos behind.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, let's try that. I think that might distract them enough that they won't immediately come after us.
Right on. You are in the cell block with Alberth and Greyson and Nell right now, so If you're running away from them, you'll also be running away from Alberth and Greyson.
Okay. I'm gonna say I'm gonna modulate my voice, so I'm gonna like try and make it sound normal. I'm gonna say, "You guys, we're gonna go look for some keys, but if not, we might have to come help you later." And then I'm gonna cast proxy spellcasting on William again, and then we're gonna dash to keep looking for a key.
I just want to be clear that how all of this translates with the sound waves coming across. It does sound like someone used the Alvin and the Chipmunk speed up thing on Ben Shapiro. Have to go get some keys. We'll come back later. And then he bolts off. Jan explains as you go jogging away from these two guards who start to scream, "I slept with your wife." In agonizing slow motion. Jan mentions, "Oh, it's not really a combat spell, so the more you interact with other people, the more it'll degrade the spell. You know, that's why sorcerers aren't just going around in combat, moving at the speed of light and stabbing everyone. It's
Pretty action. Let's find a key.
Yeah.
By the way, Greyson, realizing it's break out of jail time, is gonna start picking the lock with the needles that he took off the
very
off
good
the healer.
Yeah, these guards are like shouting stuff at each other that they've done, but they immediately turned to book it down after these like blurs. They're not paying any attention to you. So go ahead and roll me a break out of jail check. 11. I think Greyson, the experienced thief, can do anything he wants with 2 sewing needles. Greyson does break out of his thing, and looking around, you see Nell like gesture to her cell, and yeah, there's Alberth is in the same.
All right. I'll gesture to Nell like, give me a sec, and then I'm gonna work on Albert's real quick.
Right on.
Sweet.
Alberth
will talk to Nell and be like, "Hey, by the way, are you a caster? Could you help if we needed to bust out of here real quick?"
Yes and no. I mean, no and yes. No, I'm not a caster. I could definitely help in a jailbreak. Wouldn't be my first, if I'm being honest.
Let's go.
Meanwhile, Merigold and Jan, you clear like 3 more cell blocks and turn a corner to pass like a guard post who, again, they start to react to you very delayed, but they've just got the key ring on a wall, and you can see around the corner is the cell block with William, Elway, Yasuka, and Lion.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's what I'm going to cast my proxy spell casting on William as we dart past. And I'm going to say the same Shapiro Theodore message.
Yeah. So, Miles, William feels a spell being cast on him, and then from around the corner at the nearby guard post, you hear, "Back ones again, keys. See you in a second."
I'll tell the people around me. I guess they're going looking for keys. I don't know what the heck is happening. Are we free? Are we not guilty? We found not guilty?
Yasuka says, "Well, not anymore." And putting a fist against the ground, she draws up her entire broadsword.
Yeah.
Glowing with a silver cold light. And then looking around, seeing all the guards chase down the blurs of Merigold and Jan, she cracks the metal, hits again, breaking a link, and then keeps hacking away at it until eventually she peels away enough that she like grabs the pillowcase and like wraps her hands so that they won't get cut from the metal, and just starts like cramming the metal latticework to one side and then the other, finally tosses the sword on the ground and pulls herself through. Looks around the corner and goes, just gonna see if they have the keys. Picks up her
a
sword,
great idea.
puts it over her shoulder, and just walks into the guard post. Unfortunately, I think she does not get the keys. I think Merigold just grabbed the keys, went back down the other way, but he took all the guards with him, to be fair. So Merigold, you and Jan book it back. You've got a bunch of keys to try on Alberth and Greyson's cell doors. But to your surprise, you already see Greyson picking into Alberth's lock himself.
I'm just gonna go toss all the keys to William. Is what I'm gonna do.
Okay, sweet. You book it back past the guards, who are starting to like put their arms around each other and line up shoulder to shoulder, realizing that they're not gonna like swing to catch you in time. They're just trying to body block the hallway because they're in full armor. Maybe one of them knows that if they touch you, like it'll start to like disintegrate your spell. But you come to a stop as this wall of wide-eyed guards is just marching towards you. And Jan looks at him and goes, "It's a shame. Can you jump?"
Can you boost me?
Yeah. And kneels down and puts his hands like that to launch Merigold over this wall of marching guards as they slowly walk up behind him. Go ahead and make me an acrobatics check. Roll it with advantage. You're being assisted.
Strongest vanilla compelling discretion at the middle guard as I possibly can.
Right on. You just pop.
In fact, can we just say that every time we pass them, I've just been tossing these out like candy.
Yeah. Yeah. They are babbling as one like captain with more like stuff across his lapel, like deep red ribbons and that kind of thing, is just frantically gesturing because he can't use his words, but he's like giving hand signals telling them how to move around, and he's like playing defense as a back row in behind the like 4 shoulder to shoulder. Go ahead and roll that acrobatics check with advantage because you're receiving help from
Yeah, I got a 12.
Oh,
not with advantage. Let me roll it again to see if I got a nat 20 with advantage. So
not only do you clear the first row, but sailing over, you pull up one shoulder and barely clear the captain, who very belatedly, after you've already cleared him, starts going jumping to block. You clear him into a deft roll on the other side, and Jan, like, on the other side of this row of guards, which he starts like slowly backing away from, kind of looking around. You tear around the corner. You see Yasika strolling around the corner to see if she can get the keys. Do you give them to her, or do you dash past her, give them to William?
I don't even think I'm out of my cell yet, so
Hence why you need the keys.
how many keys are there?
It's a whole ring of them, like probably 12.
12. And if I keep trying all of them, that will whittle away at this spell's effect because we're touching stuff.
Only people, not objects.
Oh,
does that include each other?
Can I roll a luck check? Roll 10 to see. I guess it wouldn't be.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to brute force 12 of them. It's a good thing you actually went back to help William, because these keys would not have worked on the cell block you were just on. They're only working like in reverse. That way, for people to get their own key, they would have to go forward. But you very quickly just brute force it and find the right key for William, which helps you decode which key for Elway and then for Lion. You push open all of their gates as they like stand back very slowly to let you throw the gates open. And then when you turn around, you see Yasika leveling her sword against the wall that is now going back towards her. And they start looking at each other like, is the wall still our best option? But they can't express that in words because they're all babbling about their deepest secrets.
This is brilliant. I love this.
If I'm out of my gate, how much sanguine mana would it take for me to match their speed?
A lot, but you have like 5 times a lot.
All right, I'm gonna match their speed. I'm gonna ask them how I can help.
Right on. You go up to Marigold. Hey.
So how can I help you?
Well, ideally we get everyone else out, but we don't know how long our speed's gonna last. I don't know how much time you can keep this going for. So, like at the end of the day, we got to get out and we can stage a prison break for the rest of them later. Yasuka might just kill everyone. Not sure how that's gonna end. So.
All right, I've got an idea. Hand me the keys.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take the keys and I'm going to use. If I've got 5 times a lot, I'm just gonna go 5 times as fast.
No, it is exponential, and in addition to which, you can move at their speed for a little while. But if you want to match their speed for the full 15 minutes they're going, then it'll more than drain your entire reserve. So you, it's better spent in short bursts, but you're pretty sure it doesn't have the same limitations that Jan was talking about, because you're pretty sure you've like attacked people while moving at that full speed and not been bothered.
Correct.
You definitely pickpocketed Hearn the Barbarian at that speed without being deterred at all.
All right, then I will just run and try and get their as many people's stuff unlocked that are my friends as possible.
Right on. You are able to book it.
Shield, by the way, if that helps, with my proxy spellcasting, you have like a invisible force shield in your arm.
Oh, cool.
Muscle past the guards, if that helps.
Yep, sick. All right,
Very
cool.
nice. Yeah.
I'll run and jump.
Actually, you don't have to run and jump because they were in like block the flash position, but now they're in don't get stabbed by the paladin position. Actually, as you turn, you see that there's like a path that you could weave through these people as long as they don't move too unexpectedly. And you see Yasuka mid baseball swing and flip up the blade so that the flat of the blade slaps a dude's helmet so hard he is thrown to the side and crashes against the wall to fall back down. And you just sidle like cartoon Link in Wind Waker and step over this dude who's just collapsed. I'm sorry, what's your goal? You're trying to get equipment, or you're trying to get your friends out of here? What's
I guess if equipment is closer, equipment. If friends are closer, friends.
Right on. Yeah, you are right next to this like guard station, so you are able to just take an arm full of like shields that seem like the most useful thing, and then like torches as well. And you just grab a pack from that, sling it over your shoulder, fill it up with torches, and hold the shields. And you go run, sidle back across. You hand a shield each to Elway and Lion. You actually notice that when you're moving something, it moves like it normally would, but as soon as you release it, it gains 4 times its momentum as when you were holding it. So you start to do this, and then it zips out of your hand. You're not sure what the implications are for like projectile attacks. You could find out if you want to, but again, it has different limitations than the sorcerer one anyways, so.
Yeah, I'm good for now. I'll just keep rolling.
Right on. There are people charging down the other side of the corridor in the distance. They are still moving at normal speed, so.
Yeah, I'm just gonna just obviously dip around them, go through and grab the unlock all of the doors.
Right on. Everyone roll me a perception check.
17.
16.
Natural 1.
Right on. So Merigold and William both see in time a hooded figure step out of the shadows behind one of the cells, holding just a cudgel, swinging it at Marigold's head.
Oh, I'm gonna dodge and immediately cast Compel Indiscretion so that everyone notices the hooded figure stepping out of the shadows.
Sweet. You dodge, you cast Compel Indiscretion, you encounter psychic resistance like you've never experienced before. Roll to overcome it.
Okay. 18.
So your incredibly honed use of this spell does allow you to pierce this person's protections just a little bit. But you'll recall that we recently talked about like backlash psychic protections. This person has a truckload of backlash psychic protections, like a lethal dose, and you immediately go blind in your left eye, you are thrown backwards, and you projectile vomit as you are launched. Now you're still moving faster than everyone else, but you are thrown into this weird spiral that sprays vomit all over. Not only are you vomiting more than you knew you could just on like a dot, like just happening, but as soon as it escapes like physical contact with you, it speeds up to 4 times its speed. And so an absolute fire hose spiral of Merigold's like very alcoholic vomit just pelts the flagstone and pierces into the metal latticework of one of these as you flip 1.5 times, land on your face, dragging against the floor. Roll to stay conscious.
11.
Right on. You stay conscious just long enough to see or hear the person behind you starts to walk up. You seem to be slowing back down gradually to normal speed, and this person's voice starts very low and speeds up as you try to get up, but are so dizzy and like nauseous that he catches up behind you. And you hear the very slow monologue at first. My name is Archduke Iravetti, and if you escape, I will be blamed. And he slams you in the back of the head, knocking you unconscious. Now your friends are still conscious. But Archduke Iravetti is just screaming and ranting all of the things that he never says. It is most definitely the same man who broke the seal outside of your cell and gave you the clear stone. It's unclear why he would want that for you, but would not want you to escape prison. Also, Archduke Iravetti, you may remember, is the left hand of the king. Archduke Visica died at the beginning of the first campaign. I think that's all. I think you're up to speed. William, you're still moving incredibly fast. But you turn to see the end of that sequence happening as you're like bringing all these shields back, as Merigold is knocked unconscious. And the Archduke Iravetti is slowly standing up and turning towards you. You still have all this equipment. You've handed one shield and one torch to Elway and Lion, who are now like with Yasuka, kind of just phalanxing, blocking as Yasuka just slaps all of these people with the flat of her broadsword.
All right. First, I stop moving fast.
Sweet.
So this guy's just bopped my boy Merigold just right on the head.
Yeah. And
is he looking particularly mean?
I mean, he looks like an archetypal mage. They're mean sometimes. There's actually he isn't even turning towards you now that he has knocked out Merigold. He is grabbing him by the belt and is dragging him back towards like the shadows where he walked in from.
All right, looking over my friends here. What are they trying? I want to. Here's the thing: if my man here is going to be the end, how close am I to the door out? I guess how close are we to getting out of here?
It's so there would be 2 ways out. You could keep going through this snake like back towards the entrance. It'll be like 4 more rows of cells and 4 more guard posts before you get out. Or if you go forward in the direction of Alberth and Greyson, who are now, I'm going to say, have either like gotten Alberth out of his cell and are coming around the corner to flank these soldiers, or if you took a moment, you could also become delayed to help Nell out of her cell as well. While you're deciding that yeah.
Is towards the commotion the only way out of the prison?
No, so there are
that
two
we're
ways.
aware of.
There's towards the commotion for you guys, away from the commotion for William, because it's between you guys. It would keep sneaking out. That's what I was saying. 4 more guard posts on the way out. Or you could keep going in your guys' direction, which is only going to encounter 2 more guard posts, and then we'll get to the sunken courtyard where you guys have done like going outside time, the yard time. You would have to scale like 3 stories in order to get to ground level from there, because it's just like an underground courtyard dug into the catacombs, like quarry mine style. But yeah, those are the 2 ways out. Both are extremely well guarded, and you're pretty sure, not just by like mundane soldiers, you're pretty sure there's casters in both directions. It's not great.
You know who helps in these kind of situations? My boy Alberth. I'm gonna run to Alberth's cell first and go and try and unlock him.
So he's already out of his cell, but there are several. There's a whole platoon of guards between you and him. While this is happening, first of all, you see Iravetti start to step into the shadows. He appears to be dragging Merigold with him by the belt, and behind you, you see the people charging up. It is not more guards. It is 3 bulky men with ochre cloaks.
And that's in front. Who's that in front of? Alberth?
No, behind you. So it's a snaking thing. There's the Brothers of Ochre, you, Elway, Yasika, Lion, unconscious Alberth, Iravetti dipping into the shadows, and then guards and their captain, and then on the other side, distantly, Alberth, Greyson, and Nell, and presumably Jan somewhere on the other side of that, doing some shenanigans at the speed of light.
So did Alberth and Greyson see Jan pass us?
Oh, yes. So the first time, zipped by, and then later... Oh, yeah, more recently than that. After all the commotion started, and he helped Merigold over, you can see zip, zip, zip. He ran in the opposite direction, apparently towards the courtyard.
Cool.
Grayson's gonna start picking Nell's lock, I think, after that. I think all hands on deck is probably a good way to go here.
Right on. Yeah, it's been enough time that I'm gonna say you've just got Nell free. She thanks you profusely, and asks, "Okay, so what's the plan? Where to?" She looks down either end of the corridor.
Phenomenal question.
Look, we're in it now. Like, it's either die or die, so...
I'm leaning towards the courtyard, but I feel like that's maybe not... I don't know.
Courtyard, we're going. Let's do it.
Alberth, you got anything to help in jailbreak?
I can cast some spells if we need it. I don't really have any, like...
With your knowledge of the crossbow, you can build a giant gun to shoot us out from the courtyard.
All right. I think Greyson, at least, is going to head away from the commotion towards the courtyard.
Right on.
Head that way.
Yeah. You and Alberth, are you both doing that?
Yeah.
Right on. So yeah, you guys start walking. You pass a couple rows of of people in cells going, "What?" Like, hey, is this a full jailbreak or what are we doing? You guys don't have the keys, and it would take a while to pick their locks. So yeah, it would be a huge time commitment to add to your numbers just a little bit. Let's do that. You guys keep walking, and before long, you come to an intersection where all of the metal has just been shattered and exploded outwards by some ungodly force that you can only attribute to Merigold. And melting out of the shadows in this area, a tall figure robed all in black seems to be dragging your friend Merigold by the belt through this broken metal, and it looks around, sees that none of the cells are intact, rolls his eyes, and starts dragging him towards the nearest empty cell, which turns him directly towards you guys, and he stops.
I push. Okay, wait.
You're not with them?
Oh, I'm not. Oh, I forgot.
If there's anything you guys do.
Wave.
Is he okay?
Oh, he'll be fine. The Iravetti sets down Merigold, flips back his hood, at which point you recognize him as Iravetti because you've seen him in the Grand Hall before. He cracks his neck both ways and says, and he looks around and says, look, you know those little pedestals in each of the intersections of cells? They've got like orbs on top of them. I'm in charge of checking on those to see if anyone's trying to escape. So if any of you escape, it's on me. Now, then he kind of looks around. He says, personally, I'd love for you all to break out of jail. We both know you're innocent, but I'll be in big trouble for it. There are people watching. I've muted their proxy ears spells so they can't hear what I'm saying right now. But if you're gonna get out, it has to be a fair fight. You have to really take me down. I'll be fine.
Oh.
So just hit me with whatever you've got. He flips back up his hood, and unless you try and rush to cast the first spell, he's gonna cast Force Lance at you. Try to launch you down the hallway.
I don't really have any useful spells, or Grayson, as a rule, doesn't use the spell that he has on anyone because it's a warlock spell. So I don't have any spells worth using. Alberth might.
I'm double checking.
This is gonna go really poorly.
Your lend spell is back as well,
it.
so if you want to each be able to cast a spell, Alberth can lend one to Grayson.
Oh,
so you can cast 2 of Alberth's spells if you guys want to.
Jeez. Shoot. Albert's thinking, what are the odds that I could just go back in my cell and lock myself in and just pretend like this never happened? Does he get the sense that that's even possible? Like, is he
making an insight check? Yeah, and I'm gonna say Alberth has advantage on insight checks. That's kind of his thing.
Cool. 16.
You could absolutely do that. Attempted jailbreaks are regular and rarely punished. They pretty much understand, yeah, you want to get out of here. They can't really punish you more than keeping you in jail unless they're going to execute you. They can't do that to nobility. So you in particular are extremely safe if you go back in your cell. In addition to which, it sounds like there's a massive jailbreak happening, and the person in charge of watching you doesn't want you to be in trouble and is here right now. If you go back in your jail cell and lock your door, you will be in almost no trouble.
Cool. I will use a spell that I've never really used before. Let me look it up just to make sure I'm not doing this wrong. The fictiongame.com, spellbooks, Alberth. Didacticism. I will quickly explain that, hopefully before the time that we would get blasted by this lance and be like, Grayson, if we just go back, everything will be okay. We don't have to do this. They already took out Merigold, and he was kind of the one that I was going to hide behind because he's the one that can. So, live to fight another day. right?
Yeah, I don't think either of us have the capability to beat this guy, so we can head back. We didn't use magic to get out. We can do it later if we want to. Is an
But,
internal monologue. I'm not going to say that out loud in front of him, but
Yep. Iravetti watches this exchange happen, like fully prepped for the Force Lance, and then just watches you two guys go back into your cells, lock the doors, and he says, I've never met a pair of casters so reasonable. And he picks up Merigold, kicks him a little bit, and drags him down the hall. He goes to the empty cell in your guys' cell block that neither of you were in, Nell wasn't in. Opens the door, opens the cell, tosses Merigold in, who collapses into a lump, and he says,
can
he,
you move him somewhere else? He doesn't like me very much.
I can only inflict him on so many people. Listen. And he holds up a hand and glances over at the orb pedestal in the middle. You can tell he's doing something. You're not sure exactly what. And he walks over to Alberth's cell and mutters, when Merigold wakes up, tell him to scry on the king this time. The king. Anyways. And then he walks back down towards the commotion happening at the end of the hallway. In the meantime, William, you, Elway, and Yasika have, like, body blocked these guards, allowing Yasika to slam every one of them in the head. It's just the captain left, and he is on his knees like, I'm just gonna tie myself up over in that corner over there, and no one has to get a concussion. Does that sound doable to everyone? Yasika says, you're not gonna get a concussion. And, yeah, Yasika slings it back over her shoulder, walks around the corner, her eyes go wild, and she is thrown into the wall. Sword goes flying. Iravetti wheels around the corner. He is like leaning forward and zooming around. You're not sure if he's like running because his robes are very shadowy. It actually reminds you of seeing like a demon move really fast. His black robes are very reminiscent of that image. But he wheels around the corner and looks at all of you. And he says, I don't suppose I could convince another group of casters to put themselves back into jail?
Wait, another group of casters? How many casters are out right now?
Well, you see, and then a throwing hatchet embeds itself in Iravetti's shoulder, and he wheels backwards, turning around. You guys see the Brothers of Ogre stanced up.
Oh my gosh.
One of them has drawn another throwing hatchet. One of them has a bow and arrow. It's they're moving out. And Iravetti just goes, what the? And then like holds out a hand and falls into a nearby shadow, just melds into the floor. You're not sure where he went, but he's gone. And the Brothers of Ochre say, they run up to you, and the one with the hatchet says, have you seen our brother, Jan?
You probably where that guy came from. He was talking about casters? He's probably with them.
No, he was talking about casters that gave up. And he's running around the corner. They start to disappear, and you guys look around like, did the Brothers of Ochre, they came through the main entrance. Did they take out all the guards in that direction? Lion says,
I'm about to find out.
Yeah. I say we run. How many other swords, Yasika? Yasika says, no. All right, worth a shot. And you guys start to book it. Yasika, not having a sheath, just awkwardly holds her sword as you guys book it down the hallway. Sure enough, there are a number of guards. The majority are knocked out, but there are some that were just killed. It's not, yeah. And you guys walk back through this like train of just being torn apart, that kind of thing. And you guys emerge onto the steps of basically the whole capital of Telmeri is like at these foothills, and you guys emerge at the entrance, and over in the distance you see the Grand Hall. I guess it would be up the mountain away. But other than that, You're not sure how the Brothers of Ochre handled it, but there's not like reinforcements rushing in. You guys just walk past these like trails of broken bodies, and you're outside. You can just run. And
oh well. Is there anybody like coming towards the main entrance?
none that you can see. There's just like normal traffic, and there's shady characters walking in and out of this area all the time. There's a bunch of merchants looking over like, it's a little sketchy. It's none of my business. And Elwie says, right, so the plan is we run together unless we're being pursued, and then we split up. I say we go this way. She just starts to book it in one direction.
I'm following.
Right on. Make me a quick
Can I do like a
speed
perception check to see if I can see anybody behind me coming?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
following us?
And you have angelic eyesight, I believe. So you are particularly perceptive.
13-ish.
So you are pretty sure with that perception roll that there were like basically alarm systems throughout this area that were disabled by the Brothers of Ochre as they charged through this area. You're not sure if they were able to like stealthily like take out all the alarms and then the guards Far Cry style, or if they were just like lucky in getting to the people before they but either way, it looks like the only magical protections were people scrying through these or not scrying but proxyizing through these like orbs that were all around. And it sounds like they sent in the cavalry, that guy that took out Merigold, and he got one of you, and it sounds like, depending on which casters he was talking about, it sounds like he maybe got more of you. And so the cavalry's already taken out, the standard troops are taken out. Presumably there will be more guards that will show up eventually, because Iravetti made it out of there and presumably communicated to someone, and there were probably more people keeping track, but no one's here now. If there's reinforcements, they're not on like an instant response time, they're being gathered. And no one seems to be like watching you guys, trailing where you go like a police helicopter. So you just make it out of there.
But my boys.
Yes.
But my
Yeah,
boys.
we ran in the wrong direction.
Half a successful jailbreak later. A significant portion of the party is out. 4 out of 7 ain't bad. But unfortunately, our friends Alberth, Greyson, and Merigold are still stuck in the catacombs beneath the Grand Hall of Tel Mary.
What sucks is they're the 2 that are currently on trial for being warlocks.
And the 2 that'll actually, both of us now, I think, will come positive on the the pain finders, which is unfortunate.
That's true.
Or fortunate, actually, considering.
Damn.
All of the innocent got out. Cool.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, what about Alberth?
And one innocent man is just, you know how it goes.
So,
I accidentally introduced gun violence to an entire world, so
that's where
who's
someone
really
brought
innocent?
a knockoff of that and tried to kill Greyson.
Intended
to kill
me.
Albert.
Yeah.
So yeah, Alberth is locked himself back in prison and is just very like, have
Very
I been
contemplative.
making the right decisions in life?
Maybe I earned this.
Yeah.
Yeah. What will happen with these poor condemned souls? Will jailbreak stick, or will our escaped heroes be brought to justice as well? What's going on with Duke Iravetti, and why does he want Merigold to scry on the king? Find out all of this and more next time on The Fiction Game. Thank you for watching, viewers. Thank you for playing, players, and we'll see you next time. Bye.